Alright guys, so I don't want this to be too much of a absolute doomer video, but there are a lot of important things happening within the anime and manga industry that I really want to talk about. I'll probably make more videos about it in the future as, you know, situations develop, but a lot of stuff has been happening in general. For one, the anime and manga industry has had a big boom over the years, and Japan has been trying to capitalize on that boom, especially because now we're actually on the downslide. Although people like to say that Japan is, and the manga anime industry is this nice little oasis, it's nothing like, you know, how bad the media has gotten in the United States, and that's absolutely true. However, Japan has its own individual problems that they're facing now, because as they're trying to capitalize on their success, they need a lot more anime to come out. More importantly, they need a lot more successes to come out, and they've had a couple of losses over the years. And this brings us to today and today's problems. Now, I made this video called Anime Will Never Be Politically Correct a while ago, 5 years ago actually. My god, that is so long ago. But this is one of my most popular videos. It's probably the reason why a lot of you are subscribed to begin with. And basically what I say in the video, it's nothing like too outrageous or anything. My point was just that a lot of people were trying to complain about anime because it was not politically correct, and trying to find ways that we can change anime to make it more politically correct, to make it more for modern audiences, right? And I was just trying to say, hey, why don't you just let Japan be Japan and not try to push your own personal agendas on anime. Anime is not made to be politically correct. It's not made to be what you want it to be. It's what the person who created it wanted it to be. I thought maybe in the future people would just give up. But you know what? Some people watch this video and they see it as a challenge. So anime is going through some changes as the years go by. And Chibi also talked about this on one of his videos, that one of the most prominent changes that we're going to see in the anime industry is from its new investors and whatever input they have into what anime should be. Like I said, you know, Japan is trying to capitalize on this big success that they have. They're trying to figure out how do we make less losses and more wins. And part of doing that is to look towards investors so that they can make more product as well as higher quality product, because the standards for an anime have been going up and up and up. The crazy amount of animation that we have in modern anime is vastly different than what we used to get in the early 2000s. And if you don't believe me, I dare you to compare an early episode of One Piece to whatever the latest episode is. You can see that there is a drastic change in style as well as budget. But the more that becomes the standard, the more money that they need to keep it sustainable while also creating a lot of it. And it's not just for anime, it is also for manga. Some of these investors are politically charged. Now, what does this actually mean? Because you gotta see it through their perspective. If you really care about your politics, about your agenda, would you ever invest your own money in something that contradicts your politics, contradicts your values? If you invest in something that goes against what you believe in, then usually you are doing it for ill intent, you know, to destroy it, or to change it, to manipulate it so that it now goes in line with what your agenda actually is. And it breaks my heart to see Frieren is getting paired up with this, because it's one of my favorite new series out there right now, and I would just have my heart broken to see it turn into something that it's not. I've also spoken before about how Frieren is a surprisingly conservative show. It's probably one of the first in a long time to be very open about killing demons, which has been like misinterpreted to being about racism or whatever by extreme left-wing people.
If you kill Priscilla, then you're no different than the Yoma!
Yo, what the fuck? She eats people! So, does this mean that the demon killing is gonna stop in Frieren because of some investor saying, that I'm not giving you money if you publish this manga? you need to change it. Well, those are the issues that they're going to be facing now. How badly do they want that money? And how badly are they gonna fuck up their IP in order to get that money? Now, for a long time, there's already been people in the anime and manga industry who have had a hand, an undeserved hand, in changes being made to the anime or manga. Obviously, everybody knows about the production committees, changing what the original author actually intended to fit with what they believe will be more attractive to modern audiences. You know, in quotations, because who knows what the fuck they mean by modern audience. Usually it just means by what they personally want, what they personally think people should see. And that's all well and good, but as we've seen here in America, trying to pressure some sort of social norm onto your media actually does really stifle creativity. And almost everything that comes out in American media nowadays is very bland, very politically charged, and it's not doing well.
That is one big pile of shit.
How many reboots do you see happen in America? Yeah, it's because they're trying to bet on a sure thing because all their new stuff is failing. And even their sure things are now failing because you can't just tiptoe around the problem and pretend like it doesn't exist. And believe it or not, Japan is showing the same warning signs as America once showed when we started to fail our audiences. I've even seen other people in the anime and manga industry complain about this, that anime is starting to invest more money in reboots of anime and spin-offs of other anime instead of investing in new stuff. Obviously, we've seen this with like the Fruits Basket remake. They did an Inuyasha spin-off sequel show, even though the author didn't actually work on it. And just recently now, the Ranma 1/2 reboot. You know, we are actually seeing that same trend that we once saw here in America. And I do hope that that is not a sign of the end times for Japan. You got people like the Vinland Saga manga editor saying that he does not want himself to be influenced by some political correctness. And I know, people were commenting before when I posted about this that, oh, well, Vinland Saga has like some weird political stuff in it, but this is the manga editor saying that he's not going to be influenced by political correctness. This is the editor, and obviously he's worked on other stuff besides Vinland Saga. It's just important to note that there are people within the industry that don't want to see this happen, especially when it comes to changing an author's intent, because obviously this can lead to some very damaging things, as we have seen, not only of course having social consequences and creative consequences, but also demoralizing people who write the work and are trying to contribute to the industry. And I don't know how many of you watching have actually been keeping an eye on how well anime and manga has been doing over the years, but they are facing a lot of unique problems. One of it being that Japan has a big population crisis, and yet the amount of anime that they've been producing has maintained or sometimes increased. And of course they're not exactly treating their animators or their staff very well because of these incredible crunch periods, but even more so they're outsourcing. They're outsourcing to places like China and Korea so that they can get the anime done. And ironically, China and Korea do not like Japan. And some people have voiced concern that Japan is giving places like China or Korea the ability to completely overtake the industry from them, all while they're also simultaneously producing anti-Japanese propaganda. No, I'm not making that up. I've seen a bunch of it on my timeline recently. That's not very pleasant, by the way. And of course, most of you already know that Solo Leveling has kind of an anti-Japan angle to play there too. But even more so, we have a lot of heavy hitters that came from manga that are ending. Like this magazine, he's pushing Deku out of the way because My Hero Academia ended. It's gone. That's a big hitter, and it's gone. What else ended? Attack on Titan ended. I hear Undead Unluck is gonna end soon. Ichiro Oda is actually gonna end One Piece. Which is crazy because that is their biggest property right now, especially with the success of the Netflix live action show. And there is that growing concern that when One Piece is done, there's gonna be this huge collapse of sales. Their surefire thing is not gonna be there anymore. And of course, there's Dragon Ball. I know that they're still saying that they're gonna make more Dragon Ball content, but we all know that it's just not gonna be the same since the creator has passed away. They need more big hitter series if they want to keep their heads above water. And who do we actually have to replace My Hero Academia or One Piece? Like, what do we actually have? Even just judging by, like, the Shonen Jump cover, we got, like, Jujutsu Kaisen. Sure, we have Sakamoto Days. Maybe. But, like, how many of these characters do you guys actually know? Like, how many of these manga behind the big two obvious ones do you actually keep up with and read? I would be willing to bet that most of you would say, well, I barely read any of those other series, I just read the biggest ones. Now sure, when these big hitter series do end, people are gonna want to fill that void with something, but what is it gonna be? Nobody knows. Not even Shonen Jump knows. All these big publishers, they're not really quite sure what they're going to invest in when it comes to making the next big thing, making the next One Piece. And so we have kind of this initial panic, and maybe that's part of the reason why we're seeing more reboots of anime nowadays, because they're betting on surefire things that worked in the past. And they're also looking for more overseas manga, which some people might see as their big opportunity to maybe get published in Shonen Jump. But even a lot of the overseas manga that they have published has not been doing very well, has it? So now, what is their solution to this? What are they gonna do about the fact that they don't have many heavy-hitting properties anymore? The pressure is on them to keep producing as much content as possible, and they're not really sure what to invest in, what is going to be a big success. Well, they're turning to investors to decide that for them. They're asking, hey, you know about the overseas market? What do you think we should do? What kind of stories do you think we should spend all our time making? And that is an issue when, of course, those investors are politically charged. So I do generally see all of this as warning signs for the anime and manga industry. I know a lot of people like to think grass is always greener on the other side. There's no way that the problems we have here will ever reach Japan. And I would very much like to see it not turn out the way that I'm worried it might turn out. I've really been surprised by how the tone of a lot of modern anime has been throughout the years. Sure, we still get fairly socially conservative anime, like Frieren, for example, but there has also been shockingly a shift to some anime being brought overseas here, being more left-leaning. I don't know if anyone else has noticed it, but I definitely have, and it actually has surprised me in some cases. Zombie 100 picked up by Netflix, because of course Netflix would pick it up. I started that series with fairly high hopes based on just the first chapter alone, think that it was gonna be like a fun zombie comedy, and I was really shocked to see it like sympathizing with communism, of all things, because Japan is not exactly known for being friendly with communism. I don't know if that is a trend. I don't know if I will see that more and more. Look, my point is we should be wary of where anime and manga are headed, because we don't want to see it fail in the same way that American media has failed over the years. I would feel this awful personal responsibility as an American, this idea that we spread this curse onto another country that now has to deal with the same problems. Obviously, we already have to deal with localizers in the States, right? With them changing the meaning of these light novels, these manga, and of course, yes, the animes. Changing it to be more politically correct so that we don't have our feelings hurt, but then ironically making everyone everywhere very offended. But as much as localization can be a problem in some scenarios, having the anime and manga itself changed from the inside, from the inception of it, is such a bigger threat. But of course, the political landscape is changing, and I think we're gonna see a lot of changes in the next few years, more than we've seen in the last decade. And who knows how that is going to affect the industry, or if it'll affect the industry at all. Either way, praying for you, Japan. I hope that you see much success in your future works, and hopefully we won't see anyone go down the same road that American media has gone down. But that's about all I've got to say for this video. Sonic City Witch, my latest graphic novel, is out for pre-orders, guys. So I'll end the video here by actually showing you the trailer for it. If you're interested, go ahead and watch the trailer. To everybody else, like the video, comment down below your own thoughts about how things are looking for the anime manga industry. If you yourself share some worries, or if you'd like to add some optimism. I'd actually like a little bit of optimism in the comments. And of course, like I said, I want to be able to cover this more often, so if you'd like to see more videos from me talking about these problems, subscribe, and hopefully YouTube will notify you when I post a video. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and here's the Sonic City Witch trailer.
Everything changes day after day. Everything changes, although it may stay. Whatever we try and whatever we do, everything changes just like me and you.
Program restart. Shutting down all systems.